Yo. Alright, chat. Peep the fit. Peep the fit, chat. Got the EV backpack. Neon Genesis Evangelion was released on October 4th, 1995. It was a TV original anime with 26 episodes, and its final episode airing on March 27th, 1996. It aired for 5 months and 25 days. With 26 episodes and each episode being approximately 24 minutes, it will take you 10 hours and 24 minutes to finish the show. Now, considering the average duration for a TV anime in 2024 is roughly 4 hours and 49 minutes for 15.3 episodes, and in 1995 it was 14 hours and 2 minutes for 45 episodes, Evangelion was actually considered to be a shorter anime at the time it was made, despite being considered long in modern standards. And that's because if we separate all the anime that are 13 episodes or less, and all the anime that are 14 episodes or more on a graph, excluding hentai and movies for this calculation, we can see shorter anime started being made more often than longer anime in 2013. So it's interesting to think that before 2013, people who watched Evangelion would have considered it an average length show. What's up guys, I'm Kai-kun, and today I'll be finally putting months of data I autistically calculated, processed, and organized into effect, making the first ever deep dive anime analysis video. This video will only contain original thought. No, I did not read off of Wikipedia for this. No, I did not go on the internet to find random facts about this. Instead, I crunched the numbers myself using data I collected from my anime list to uncover the factors that shaped Evangelion. Its production, its effects on the director, voice actors, anime industry, and lastly, the larger anime community as a whole. While this might feel like a schizo flashbang of information, I promise to tie it all together by the end of the video. So if you enjoy this type of analytical content and you want to see more anime dissected like this, be sure to drop a like down below. Starting off with the anime industry's climate at the time Evangelion was made, let's take a look at what was popular. Now, Evangelion has a lot of themes in the show, but my anime list has gracefully summarized them down into just two: mecha and psychological. Looking at the mecha theme on a graph, we see Evangelion was towards the end of the mecha trend, with this theme peaking in popularity in 1985 and then tapering off down as the years continue. But interestingly enough, if we look at Evangelion's other theme, psychological, we see Eva was actually one of the first anime to have this theme, with this theme peaking in popularity in 2004. So while it is common knowledge that Evangelion was a deep psychological show, overlaying the two themes on a graph, you can reasonably say it popularized the psychological genre in anime, being one of the first animes of its kind, but it still played it safe, appealing to the masses at the time, being a mecha-themed show. And then when we look at Evangelion's genres, action, avant-garde, award-winning drama, sci-fi, and suspense on a graph, we see Evangelion was made at a time when sci-fi was extremely popular as well, which also coincides with its mecha theme. So having looked at the outward pressures that have influenced Evangelion's creation, let's take a look at some of the inward pressures, that being the director. Now, Evangelion was directed by Hideaki Anno. Over his 46-year career in the anime industry so far, he has directed 18 anime and held 57 various roles in other anime. To date, this is Hideaki Anno's most popular anime of all time, with the most recent project he directed being a follow-up to the series, the new Evangelion movie, made 4 years ago. In Hideaki Anno's 16 years in the anime industry leading up to the creation of Evangelion, he had worked on 42 anime, holding multiple roles for 13 of them and directing 8 of them. So he was no spring chicken when he began directing this anime. If we take a look at the themes of the anime he directed before making Evangelion, the most common themes are mecha, military, and space. Then if we list out the genres as well, the most common are action, comedy, and sci-fi. Lastly, if we include all the themes and genres of all the anime he worked on before Evangelion, so including the animes he directed as well, we see the most common themes again being mecha, military, and space, and for the genres being sci-fi, action, and comedy. Before he directed Evangelion, he directed 19 hours, 37 minutes, and 18 seconds worth of anime, and after he directed Evangelion, he directed an additional 23 hours and 34 minutes worth of anime. The most famous anime he directed before making Evangelion was Aim for the Top Gunbuster, And if we look at the breadth of the work he has made, Evangelion is the anime that put him on the map as a director and a creator. This data tells us that not only Hideki Anno was a seasoned director by the time he made Eva, but he also worked on a bunch of mecha shows before he started Evangelion, which you can reasonably argue influenced his creative decisions heavily in Evangelion. And if we look at his other series, and considering that most of the major anime he made after Eva was related to Evangelion, that being the rebuilds, I would argue that he is more of a one-hit wonder of a director. Evangelion has 4 main characters and 17 supporting characters. So for the sake of time, we will be focusing on only the most popular characters in Eva and look at their Japanese voice actors as well. Those characters being Asuka, Rei, Shinji, and Misato for the main cast, then Kaoru, Pen, and Gendo for the supporting cast. Starting off, Asuka was voice acted by Miyamura Yuko. This voice actor entered the anime industry in Soreike Anpanman and has voice acted over 77 roles, 39 main roles and 38 supporting roles. When Evangelion was made, this was her 5th role and 7th year in the anime industry, and to date, Asuka was the 5th most popular role she has voice acted for. Continuing down on the list of popularity, we have Rei, being voice acted by Hashibara Megumi. This voice actor entered the anime industry in Megazone 23 and has voice acted over 636 roles, 213 main roles, and 423 supporting roles. When Evangelion was made, this was their 122nd role and 10th year in the anime industry. To date, Rei is her 5th most popular role she has voice acted for. Next on the popularity list, we have Shinji, voice acted by Ogata Megumi. This voice actor entered the anime industry in Earthian and has voiced in over 192 roles, 70 main roles, and 122 supporting roles. When Evangelion was made, this was their 22nd role and 6th year in the anime industry, and to date, Shinji is the most popular character he has voice acted for. Lastly, for the main cast, we have Misato, voice acted by Mitsuishi Kotono. This voice actor entered the anime industry in Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and has voiced in over 307 roles, 80 main roles, and 227 supporting roles. When Evangelion was made, this was their 47th role and 7th year in the anime industry, and to date, Misato is still the most popular character they have voice acted for. Moving on to the 3 most popular side characters in the show, we have our boy kisser Kaoru, voice acted by Ishida Akira. This voice actor entered the anime industry in Soreike Anpanman, the same anime the voice actor for Asuka started in as well, and is voiced in over 620 roles, 121 main roles, and 499 supporting roles. When Evangelion was made, this was their 17th role and 7th year in the anime industry, and Kaoru is their 11th most popular character he has voice acted for. And lastly, we have Gendo, who was voice acted by Chiki Fumiko. This voice actor entered the anime industry in Aura Battler Dunbine, dog was aura farming, and has voiced in over 332 roles, 14 main roles, and 318 supporting roles. When Evangelion was made, this was their 28th role and 12th year in the anime industry. As for Evangelion, this was their 27th most popular role they have voice acted for. And also, it is really sad looking at this graph because Dog just has no main roles. He is only a side character in anime. So for a lot of the voice actors, this was one of their earliest roles they had, and looking at the career trajectories and popularity of Evangelion, I would argue for many of them this was their breakout role that really put them on the map, while some have stagnated. Now, having covered the context when Evangelion was made, talking about the director and the voice actors of the show, I think it's time to move on to the meat and potatoes of this video, that being, what does the anime community think about Evangelion? Within the anime community today, Evangelion is the 45th most popular anime of all time. It is ranked at the 2,322nd best anime of all time and has over 1.9 million members and favorited by over 100,000 people on my anime list. If you were to watch this anime, there is a 97.5% likelihood you will finish it based on the number of users who have reported completing it versus dropping the show. Looking at the score distribution for Evangelion, people generally seem to rate it quite highly. If we compare the average percentage of users who score a 1 through 10 across all anime against Evangelion, we see Evangelion is above average for ratings 10, 9, and 8, and below average for ratings 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and an average rating for none. And compared against the average percentage of users who score 1 through 10 across the top 100 anime of all time, Neon Genesis Evangelion is above average for ratings 10 and below average for ratings 8 and 7, and average for ratings 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So if you haven't been convinced already, based off of the user data, if you were to sit down and watch Evangelion, there's a high likelihood not only you will finish the show, but also score it as like one of the best animes of all time. And then of course it comes with the existential crisis that is Evangelion, with its deep psychological themes that make it one of the most yapped about animes of all time. Now on my anime list, there have been 767 anime reviews written about Evangelion, making it the 16th most reviewed anime of all time on that website. But that's not the whole story. If we look at the word count for all the reviews for Neon Genesis Evangelion, we find it has 423,212 words written in its reviews, and an average review length of 551.8 words per review. It ranks 4th for the most words in a review and ranks 769th for longest average review on my anime list. But if we compare the average review length against the top 10 most reviewed animes on my anime list, we find Evangelion has the second highest average review length, only being beaten out by Re:Zero by a very slight margin. And if we look at the number of unique vocabulary terms used in Evangelion and compare it against the other top 10 most reviewed animes of all time, it ranks second with the most unique number of words used in its reviews, with 16,103, only being beaten by Sword Art Online of all things. And then if we look at the individual recommendations of the reviews, that is, did the user who wrote the review for Evangelion recommend the anime, we find 71.1% of users recommend the anime, 14.9% don't, and 14.1% have mixed feelings about it. And then as a bonus, if we compare the review length of users who recommend Evangelion versus not recommending it, we find users who have mixed feelings about Evangelion tend to write the longest reviews overall. And lastly, if we look at the reviews on a timeline, we find Evangelion had the most reviews written about it in 2021, which I can only wonder why. That time period in particular, most people were writing reviews about anime. I wonder what world event was going on at that time that gave people all this free time to sit down, watch anime, and write a review online. So there you have it. After this flashbang of data, I autistically calculated, what have we learned? Hopefully a fun fact. Now going into when I made this video, I made the assumption that people have already watched Evangelion or have watched an Evangelion video essay, so I didn't want to beat the dead horse for topics already covered ad nauseum. So taking the perspective of looking at Evangelion through the lens of data, Evangelion was made towards the end of the popularity in the mecha trend in anime, but also was like one of the animes that popularized the psychological genre, probably being the most popular psychological anime at the time, which caused a bunch of other psychological anime to spring up after the fact. And we also know from the data that Evangelion was made the way it was because of not only Hideki Anno's experience in the anime industry, having worked on a bunch of mecha shows like Gunbuster, but also from the trends that mecha was extremely popular at the time the show was made, which more than likely influenced him to make Evangelion a mecha anime. We also know that Evangelion was the show that put Hideki Anno on the map and gave a lot of these early voice actors a show to spring off of from their popularity to start their careers as well. But we also know at the same time that Evangelion is also Hideki's one-hit wonder. A lot of the animes he's made after Evangelion were related to Evangelion, and with Evangelion being his most popular anime of all time, there really isn't any other claim to fame he has besides the show. And that's not a bad thing, I'm just saying that's just the observation you get from the data. And then looking at the discussion and reviews about Evangelion from my anime list, we know that it's not only one of the most reviewed animes of all time, but because of the themes covered in Evangelion, that being its deep psychological stuff, the review length is extremely long for Eva because it leaves fans with so many things to talk about and discuss when they talk about the show. Now, while I haven't talked about what Evangelion is about, I mean, you can watch the out of context Alex Jones clip. That pretty much sums up what the story is. I hope the data I analyzed was interesting and relevant to the larger conversation in the anime community. But if you have an anime you want me to research next, or if you really enjoyed this video, please drop a like and leave a comment down below. I will read and check them and answer any questions you have about the data. Thank you for watching, and I will see you hopefully in another video like this in the future. Peace.